Welcome to Inner Niña Podcast, embracing your inner child while leading with strength. This is a space for Latina women and beyond who are ready to break generational cycles and lead from a place of wholeness. Together, we will reconnect with the little girl inside, the one who dreamed big, felt deeply, and longed to be seen, and honor her as we step in fully into our power. Join me, Hermanitas, for heartfelt reflections and empowering conversations about identity, healing, culture, and leadership. Each episode invites you to embrace your inner niña while leading with authenticity, compassion, and courage. Welcome back to Inner Niña. Today we welcome a very special guest. Her name is Corie De Anda. Corie is a bilingual, bicultural educator with 50 years of experience in public schools and 10 years of experience in higher education as an adjunct professor. After getting her master's degree from the University of Redlands, she began her career as a bilingual speech pathologist and then went back to grad school to specialize in bilingual education and English as a second language. Her entire career has been spent working with immigrant families, primarily Spanish-speaking, as well as refugees from the Middle East. She worked for 13 years in Orange County schools and before moving to San Diego County, where she served as a bilingual director in San Marcos Unified and Carlsbad Unified School District. In every immigrant community, she has also served as a community liaison, since there were none in the schools, to address the various needs of the families. Welcome, Corie. Thank you for joining us today and supporting our Inner Niña journey. How are you today?
Estoy bien. I'm fine. Thank you.
You look lovely. And you're sporting your Hermana de North County.
My uniform, yes.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today with us. So tell us about yourself, your journey, your background, your experiences, and your family dynamics.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a small town in LA. It's now a city, but it was not a city at the time. We had one main street, and my grandparents lived there. My grandfather had a gas station, so we would always go to that gas station. And he did the mechanics, he did like everything, and my grandma did the books. So this community was all white, all English speaking. I'm the oldest child in the family, so I had a lot of responsibility. My parents were really strict and really into chores. Like homework was always first and then chores. So socialization was not something that was considered worthy of our time or sports. So it was like an education only kind of household. So my parents for fun would take us every once in a while to Tijuana to buy stuff. My mom liked Mexican art and Mexican food. And then more often we would go to Calle Olvera, Olvera Street.
Olvera Street.
Yeah, so we could eat the taquitos. But my sister, she would not eat Mexican food. And so we would buy the dulce de nopal, the white cactus candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our favorite. And then eat taquitos. And then sometimes they would buy us the tortugas, the little guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
For
So that
pets?
was fun. And I always took care of my tortuga. So, but then I was in third grade. I was 8 at the elementary school, and I saw a sign, and it said Spanish classes after school. And something like clicked in me, like, I have to do this. This is me. This is something I really want to do. So I went home, I talked to my mom, and she was so upset. She goes, and who are you going to talk to? You don't need to learn Spanish, and you're not supposed to ask for extra things. We can't afford stuff like that. Why would you even ask? So I go, But it still stayed in me,
Right.
So the next time we went to Calle Olvera, she bought me a Spanish kids dictionary. Mind you, no photos, no illustrations, just lists of words. So I was home a lot because I was sick, because my stupid doctors would give me antibiotics to treat my allergies. And of course, that killed my immune system. I would go back to school, and the first kid that came in contact with me was sick, I would get it. And I would go back home. So since I spent a lot of time at home, I would just sit and memorize this dictionary in third grade. That was my thing. I loved it. And then in fourth grade, we got the best part is they sent us a teacher from El Salvador. Yes, he was a great teacher. We're fortunate to get a really good teacher. He was teaching in methods that now as a teacher, I know they weren't even invented yet. The TPR method, he was using that.
Wow.
And it wasn't even invented yet. But maybe he knew it from El Salvador, no sé. So then that's how I got my pronunciation, because he would make sure that we pronounce everything just perfectly. And we had to count backwards from 100 to 1 to be able to go to recess. So that was really fun. So that was twice a week. And so then after that, then let's see. So I just continued taking Spanish in middle school and high school. In high school, we got more advanced classes, and we had this award up on the wall because I had the same Spanish teacher for 4 years. And it said Polly's Finest. This was in Riverside. So I saw these names up in there, and then as each new one would come, I go, okay, I know that person. I know that person. I go, I want my name there. And then when I was a senior, I was only in Spanish 4 because of my parents preferred I would be in band instead of Spanish. So 1 year I missed out on Spanish. I was really upset, but I had to go to band because my parents said band.
Right.
And so then I was in my senior year, and there was Spanish 5. So most of the time I would study with the Spanish 5 kids, even though I was only in Spanish 4. But the sign was down, and I go, And so then the sign came back 2 weeks later, and there was my name. And I just go, oh, that was the only award of all the awards that I won in high school. That was the only one I cared about. And so then I went on to college, and I minored in Spanish, and I majored in speech path because I thought, well, at first, maybe I should be a Spanish teacher, because I want to use my Spanish. But then I go, no, because look at the kids who are taking Spanish. They're not taking Spanish to learn how to speak Spanish. They're taking Spanish to check a box.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to go to college. I go, I don't want to teach kids like that, So I ended up majoring in speech pathology and becoming a bilingual speech pathologist. And so that was fun. As I was working my way through college, I worked in the summers, of course, and I started teaching right after high school at age 14. I taught Spanish in summer school. And so they didn't give me books, nothing. I had to develop all materials myself. And so I did, and I was all part of my room where we had all these words up on the board. How teachers decorate their room and
Yeah.
stuff. But mine was like a teaching walls. And so I said to my mom after school one day, you want to go come see my room? I want you to see my room. So she goes, oh, this is a lot of work. I go, uh-huh, yeah. And so then the custodian came in, and we started speaking in Spanish about the piñata because my kids had made a piñata. And the old style, newspaper, paste, tissue paper, the old way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I held it up and I was asking him, hey, ¿dónde vamos a colgar eso? Porque no sé cuál es el mejor lugar. And so we were talking, and then we decided where to hang because the kids were going to do it like the next day. And then he left, and my mom goes, what? What? She goes, you speak Spanish? I go, yeah, you wouldn't let me speak at home because whenever I would start to speak Spanish, she goes, I don't want to hear that language in the house.
Wow.
So I go, she says, yeah, but the other kids in your classes that took Spanish classes, none of them come out speaking Spanish. And I go, well, that's because this is my thing, Mom, So they would tease me. My mom and my dad would tease me growing up. They go, you must have got switched in the hospital. You're not our baby. You're not our kid. You're just too different, And so that was always the thing. I got switched. And so when I was 15, I just kind of had it. And I said, look, you won't let me speak Spanish at home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adopt a girl who's Spanish speaking so I can have somebody to speak to at home when I grow up.
Wow.
And they just go, now we know it. You're completely crazy, girl. Completely crazy. So yeah, that was kind of my growing up years. And then, so I did get my master's, and I went into work in Orange County, in the barrio in Fountain Valley. It was called Benito Juarez. And so it was a small barrio, only like maybe 4 blocks. And so then I go after school and stay and talk to families and get to know people. And so I could get to know all the families, where they live. And so my aide was also helping me to how to speak to children in Spanish, because you don't learn that in school. You have to learn that in a home.
Yeah.
And so I would listen to her. She would help me to speak to the kids. And then some came one summer that they cut all funding to summer school. And so my aide and I, we went to the teachers and we said, look, we want to do summer school. Give us everything that you have that you were going to throw away. All the materials you have left over, give it to us. Put it in this box. And so we had this big box. And so we would go to the park. There's a little parquecito in the barrio. And so we would just tell the kids, okay, come at this time. And they would come, and she would take the little ones, because I'm more a middle school type person. I would take grades 4 through 8, and she would take grades kindergarten to 3. And we would do activities with the kids in the park. And so that was their summer school.
Wow.
And so that's when that led to, I was asking, when can we teach Bible classes after school, And so one of the moms, she said, yeah. He says, I have this room in the back of my house. It's plenty big. And so I would take the girls there, and then another guy, he would take the guys. And so all the girls would come and she would feed a snack and then we would do Bible study. I drove to LA and bought this bilingual Bible that's really super easy to read in English and
Mhm.
Spanish. And it's called Good News Bible. So we would read in book of Matthew little by little and study and discuss because the girls had never read Bible ever in their life
Mm.
because they were Catholic by birth, you know,
Mhm.
but they didn't ever have access to a Bible or hear Bible except for just in the reading in the church. So then that was really a great experience. And then the families knew that then they could ask me for help. So whatever is it, something they came up as a need, then I would take it to their house or I'd send it home with the kids or whatever like that. We didn't have social workers in schools. We didn't have community license in schools.
Mhm.
So me as supposedly the official speech therapist was the community liaison and the social worker and all that stuff like that. So then after doing 10 years of that, I went back to school to grad school again to get a degree in bilingual education at TESOL. And so I changed school districts. I became the bilingual director at Los Alamitos and in Orange County. And so I got more training through the County Office of Education in addition to my college classes. And then in 89, I moved to San Marcos. That's when I came to San Diego County. And so that was the year of, I don't know if you remember, 1989 was the passage of IRCA. Ronald Reagan
Mm.
signed IRCA and thousands of families came over the border because the dads had been working here, right?
Yeah.
For years and years. And so then they brought their families. Like, yeah, I'd only been in the job in San Marcos as the bilingual director for like 2 months, and suddenly thousands of families were coming in and
Nice.
coming in. And so everybody had to come to my office because I was the assessment center.
Okay.
So they would get their school history, we would talk to the parents and then explain how the school district is divided up into different schools because they were like just fresh off the boat, basically.
Yeah.
They just arrived. They didn't know how to get around. They didn't know where the schools were at. We would show them a map. I had a clerk and then I had some aides that were helping also with the testing. And so we would work with the families to try to get them oriented because the school wouldn't ever give them any
Mhm.
orientation. Sometimes they were missing shots and I would explain to them que es un MMR, ¿verdad? Porque le dan sarampión en México y
Mhm.
aquí requiere MMR. So there's a lot of the things going on. And then we found out that some moms, they would tell us, no tengo ni olla para cocinar. They couldn't bring any of their kitchen stuff. So we would go through our kitchens and we find stuff. And then at the same time, my parents were doing the clothing ministry at Harvest Christian Fellowship in Riverside, which is a huge church. And so I would go on every other weekend to help with that because my mom was disabled and physically she couldn't keep up with the work. And so I had access to all these clothing. So I would bring them to the office. I set up this rack and tubs and all that kind of stuff. So as parents were coming by to drop their kids off at school or they're coming for testing, they could get clothing. So that helped a lot too. And then I did a lot of parent education sessions with Migrant Ed because I shared the office with Migrant Ed. So we would plan all of our parent meetings together and do them together. And then I adopted a family of 5. They crossed in 1990, and my husband at the time, he had been building a clinic in San Quintin. I
Mhm.
don't know if you know where
Mhm.
San Quintin is in Mexico.
Mm-mm.
It's about 5 hours south of the border. And so he met this family among other families. And so when they crossed, then they looked us up. And first place they came was my office. And so then over time, I just became their second mom, you
Is
know.
that the family I met in church? 'Cause you had a huge family.
This is the Ruiz family. They have 5 kids. So, yeah, the dad was able to go to 3rd grade education, and mom had no schooling whatsoever because her parents died, and one of the older siblings just took her in and made her a maid in the house, wouldn't send her to school. She couldn't use a phone. She couldn't write her name, nothing, nothing, nothing. So I finally convinced her after she had 2 tries with the ESL class, and I set her up with a alfabetación class. It's a
Mhm.
literacy class from the beginning. These are the
Mhm.
letters. This is how to make a letter. So I found a wonderful woman that was teaching that. So she was able to start doing that and learning. But in the meantime, I had a lot of work to do with the kids because
Mhm.
there were so many things she couldn't do. So I was always the one communicating with the schools, helping the kids with whatever they need with homework. And so fortunately, I lived close by to my office. So after school, I would just go up to the house. And then on weekends, they would come stay with me. But now those kids are all grown. And from those kids, I have 16 grandkids. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
we had our first graduate from college, Sidlali. It took her a long time because she went into depression for 2 years. So she had to
Wow.
take a break from college, but then she finally finished. And then the one behind her little brother, he graduated with his AA, and now he's in the Air Force. He just finished boot camp in the Air Force. And then the other kids, they're not quite college age yet,
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So so that
That's
was
wonderful.
thing that I didn't have kids of my own. I didn't
Uh-huh.
want to. My first husband was a Marine in Vietnam,
Uh-huh.
so he had all kinds of issues, like issues, and then the family, alcoholic family, abusive father, so lots of issues, and the drugs affect your genes. So I didn't want to have any
Mm-hmm.
children. I studied all that in school.
Nice. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
learned.
I learned, I go, "No, no." So I had this family, instead. So they knew that I was there for every birthday, for every Christmas, for all their moments. Yeah. So then as I was teaching, I left San Marcos because my parents needed help and they were working me like 60-hour a week. And my parents really needed help. So I went to work part-time to Carlsbad 3 days a week. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
teaching university in the evenings. So that way I could take my mom to the doctor to get all their prescriptions. Those the days you couldn't get prescriptions delivered to the house. You had to go in person. So it meant a lot of trips, out to Riverside. So that's when I transitioned to Carlsbad. And then when they pass away, and then when I retired from Carlsbad, I kept seeing, because I was only working with immigrant students. That's all. And I kept seeing these girls in middle school that they were like just not participating. And they were smart and they were getting C's and B's and C's. But they were smart enough to get A's, but they didn't want to participate. They just wanted to be these wallflowers that just didn't want to be seen. And so I think we got to do something. So then Gabby introduced me to Mana. So I joined Mana right away. And so then I was on the board. And then a year later, that's when I retired. And it's when they asked me, said, "Can you start the Hermanitas program here?" So I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I started there and then I spread to other middle schools in Carlsbad. And then after 3 years, finally we were able to go to the high school. They had so many obstacles we had to overcome to get to the high school. But anyway, with the middle school, people would say to me, like, why are you having a bilingual program for Latinas in Carlsbad? It's a white town. I go, you don't understand. You don't understand. These girls don't have any way to express themselves. They don't have any way to feel comfortable being a Latina in a white school. This is more needed here than anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I was at Carlsbad High in the fall, and one of the girls who couldn't join Hermanitas in the middle school, she's now like vice president of our club in high school. And she was explaining her experience in the middle school. And I go, that's exactly why I started Hermanitas. Why couldn't you
Mm-hmm.
join? She goes, oh, because I had sports. It was after school on Thursdays, their minimum day. And I guess she always had sports that day. So she had to wait till high school to join Mana. But she was explaining how she felt like she could maybe pass for white, and she had white friends and she was trying to fit in, and all the frustrations that she went through, as a Latina at that middle school.
Tell us before so our audience understands what the Hermanitas programs is. Can you, on a high level, explain
Okay.
a little
Yeah.
bit of what that is? You and I can speak on it all day because
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
about it, but to our audience who might not know, I know you've been with Mana, the North County,
Hmm.
since 2011, right?
Yeah.
So tell
Yeah.
us a little about
So
the Hermanitas program.
Mana National, all they gave us was topics. They gave us 4 topics for the year. And I went, only 4 topics. And no lessons. And so I
Right.
had to reinvent myself because here I had specialized in education,
Yeah.
not in counseling. And so I needed to read and research and try to find out what is it that these girls really need? How can I meet their needs? How can I do like character building but not sound white? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because character building people interpret as being white.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we do everything that's empowering the girls in a culturally relevant, culturally sensitive, responsive mode and
Mm-hmm.
still teach the things that they need to succeed in life? So that's when I began researching, trying out things, and I couldn't find people that wrote about success except for men. I go, no, I don't want to listen to men's advice. And
Mm-hmm.
then finally I found Valerie Burton. She's an African-American woman, really brilliant. I still follow her on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because back then, there was hardly any Latinas writing books.
Right.
Now we have the Latino Book and Family Festival that I go to every year in
Mm-hmm.
Miracosta, and I know lots of friends that are Latinas. I always buy their books. I have them sign them. I love having
Yes.
authors sign the books. Now we do have books, right? But back
Mm-hmm.
then there wasn't. So, yeah, it was just so I came up with these 3 things for success, the secret of success. Ganas,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't really translate. People say it's grit in English. No, it's like
Mm-hmm.
5 different words. You can't have one. Ganas is so big, such an
Yeah.
important concept. It's from here.
Yeah.
It's not from here. It's from here.
Yeah.
And then integrity, because if you have success and you don't have
Mm-hmm.
integrity, you're going to crash
Mm-hmm.
and burn. And then perseverance, because we explained to the girls, you're going to have more obstacles in your life to overcome
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
than other girls. So you don't, like, I put the chair in front of them. I said, when you get into this obstacle, what you've been doing is turning around and going back. No, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. We don't do that. You're not
Mm-hmm.
Manitas. Okay, so you seize a chair and you find a way around it, you find a way over it, or you find somebody to help you through it, and that's why we're here as your mentors. So
Mm-hmm.
we also did a lot of mental health things,
Mm-hmm.
because we found out that some of the girls didn't have a trusted person to talk to when they
Mm-hmm.
felt bad, when they felt down, when they felt insecure. They didn't have, like, sometimes they couldn't talk to their moms, or they didn't have a older sister or tia or somebody to talk to. And so we would do highs and lows at the beginning of class. We had like a little squishy.
Yeah.
There's girls love those squishies,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we would
Stress.
pass it
The
around a
stress
small
balls.
squishy.
Yeah.
Yes. Pass it
Stress
around,
balls.
and then they got to share with their highs and their lows for that
Yeah.
week. And
Yeah.
that way they could get it off their chest. So if something was bothering them, we would get that cleared off out of the way before we started the lesson. And so, yeah, so we did a lot of focus on mental health and on growing. So in the fall was lessons on how do you match yourself with a career. So we do a career inventory that was made for their age. And so then the thing would come up with 10 careers, and we say, okay, choose your top 3. And so they would choose the top 3. And then next was college. Okay, why you can't do college before career, because
Right.
you have to have a reason to go to college. What is your reason to go to college? And then how much college do you need? And then we do college match day and all this stuff based on their, because I go, you don't choose a college because your prima went there. You don't
Mm-hmm.
choose a college because you like their football team.
Yeah.
No, you don't choose a college
There's a
because your mom only
purpose.
wants you to stay home.
Yeah.
You need to choose a college that's going to help you to get to where you want to go. You have your dreams, and we're here to help you carry out that dream. We'll show you the steps, because they have no idea what the steps.
Yeah.
They just have a dream, and they put it in the back of their head, and they would make these little dream boxes. So we would do
Mm-hmm.
that for them too. But no. And so then after they do the college lesson, they do the college match day, and then they did their My Future vision boards.
Yeah.
And they'd never done a vision board before. We go, look, successful people do this. It's not just for college. It's not just for high school, not just for middle school. And then in the spring semester, then we do Latina Match Day.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing bios of Latinas
Mm-hmm.
every summer. I would have like
I love
maybe
that.
2 to 3 college students help me. So
Yes.
now we have this huge book,
I love that.
Latina bios. So because we said, okay, who's a famous Latina?
Mm-hmm.
J-Lo,
Mm-hmm.
Shakira, that's all they knew was celebrities. We're gonna know.
Yeah.
We want you to see that if you want to become an architect, there's been a Latina architect go before you.
An
You want to be
astronaut?
an astronaut,
We have a
there's
Latinas.
been a Latina there before you. You're not going to be the first one. You don't have to be afraid. There's someone who's already
Mm-hmm.
paved the way for you.
Yes.
And so in here we have civic leaders, which would include, Dolores Huerta, people like that.
Right. AOC, that's one of them.
Yeah, and then local people like Nancy Maldonado, Julissa Arce, and then we have the STEM careers. So we have nurses, we have doctors, and then I had one girl that wanted to be a design architect, but only working for Disney. So
Yeah.
it took me months to get through their thick, area where they won't
Bios.
share with you. But I saw our magazine article, and I saw this girl's picture. Her name was Ilcia Cristina Peña. Her father's Mexican and her mom's Cuban. And she worked for Disney as an engineer. And
Beautiful.
so I tried reaching to her links, and I tried reaching to her on Facebook. And finally, I said, look, this girl's dying to meet you. I need to interview you to get your bio. And then finally, after months, she relented and she let me to interview her. And now I have her bio. And she even got to talk to my student on the
That's
phone.
wonderful.
Yeah, but sometimes my students have these desires that are hard
Yeah.
to meet. One year I had a girl that only wanted to be a dolphin trainer. So
Mm.
I went to Mana San Diego. I said, look, you guys have really good connections with
Yeah.
SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Find me a dolphin trainer who's Latina.
That's and did you find one?
Believe it or not, we found one.
Wow, that's
So
great.
I interviewed her. And I had one student that wanted to be a marine biologist. She's now an intern with us, and she's transferring next year to UC Santa Cruz. But I found a marine biologist for her, Sylvia Macia,
Beautiful.
who's Latina. She's in Florida. And then some of them wanted to be lawyers. Some of them wanted to be, and then of course we have Ellen Ochoa, but like everybody knows Ellen Ochoa. But some of these
Yes.
people have been really hard to find, and they wanted vets. And so I had to end up interviewing American vets. And then we do have some actresses, but actresses who
Mhm.
are giving back to their community,
Yeah.
like America Ferreira,
Yeah. She's
and
very involved.
they're very
Eva
involved.
Longoria.
Yep,
Eva Longoria is another one.
yep, yep. I have her bio. Claudia Sandoval, who was incredibly poor, and then she won the Master Chef.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
then her
yes.
dream was to have her own TV show, and she did. She got
She
her
did.
TV show.
Yes.
And now she's published her recipes, and so girls really like to read her bio. And then we have a woman in Carlsbad, Ofelia Ofi,
Mhm.
and she was the leader of the barrio. And she's the one that got changes at City Hall and all that kind of stuff. So we make sure that they read her bio.
Mhm.
So one of my friends helped me to interview her. And then we have people in education, in coaching, in business, entrepreneurs. We have educators, university presidents, teachers who became authors, authors, a lot of Latina authors. And then we have a section for the arts, like fashion designers. So this is one of the new ones that I did, Monica Santos Gil, and
Uh-huh.
she, as most young people, are really into sustainability,
Yes.
right? So she makes products from plants.
Wow.
Instead of, she says, it was so gross using synthetic leathers. So she makes it from cactus. So she was the first one. Now there are others that do it, but she was the first one.
You have a binder, Corey, but you're building an encyclopedia. You're
Yeah.
building an encyclopedia, basically. And not to go too far out, but we have a lot of those incredible women, in our organization,
Mm-hmm.
that they're very low profile, because they're very humble. They're all
Yeah.
volunteers, but they have incredible backgrounds and stories, right? I want to
Right.
kind of go back a little bit of what the Hermanitas, as you kind of highlighting a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things of that program. But the Hermanitas is a mentorship. We partner up.
Mentor.
It
Yes.
starts, yeah, we start the junior high. This is kind of like what appealed to me when I chose to be part of MANA,
Mm-hmm.
the organization, is because they started the Hermanitas programs to pair them with a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was told when I had my first meeting, what is MANA? What is the Hermanitas program? And one of the first of the Hermanitas was part of the first cohort from the San Diego chapter, basically said, when this chapter, San Diego chapter, was founded, they realized that there was a big need to mentor young girls, especially
Yes.
junior highs, because during that
Yes.
time, the girls were either joining the gang or getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So the focus is, how do we mentor these girls to get them to graduate junior high?
Mm-hmm.
And when they start pairing them up with a mentor, they realize they're getting a success. They were graduating junior high, and then they're like, well, we can't leave them alone now. We need to
Yeah.
continue
Gotta
mentoring so
go
they
to
can
high school.
graduate
Yeah.
high school, right? The mentoring continue. And then, wait a minute. We can't stop now. We need
Yep.
to now continue. Okay, we're going to continue to mentor them in college. So we have the TIAS
Mm-hmm.
program. That's
Yep.
another program altogether.
Right.
But because our program started on the Hermanitas, like what Corey just explained, all the things that's being done with the junior hires. A lot of the junior hires go on and get their college degree, and they become hermanas. They end up being paired mentors with the other hermanitas. But now we've grown our organizations from hermanitas to now we have the Latina leadership program for
Mm-hmm.
Latinos already in their career, so we continue developing. But the Hermanitas has been the core of programs in our organizations because we started with the junior
Mm-hmm.
hires, and it's been
Yes.
a very success. And this attests to, like Corey, she's a professor, or she's an educator by trade, and her passion started at a young age. So our girls benefit. And I want to share like the history that you just showed, because I went to one of the events, and this event, all throughout the wall of that event, you had history of Latinas in their stories. So when you walk in, like the families were coming around, you were able to showcase all the Latinas in their different roles. So the more visible these roles are, the more the girls can see themselves in those roles in the future as they
Right.
continue their education. So that's pretty awesome. So I just want to
Yeah, so
share,
when the
like,
girls get matched, they get the biography, they get the photo, and they
yes,
make a poster.
yes,
And then they present the poster to their group, their cohort, and then they present it to all the parents at graduation. So we have a special amount of graduation. So they hold their poster and they're able to speak. And they tell us, I'm not going to speak in front of, anybody.
yeah,
I go, you're going to really surprise yourself. You won't believe. You're going to be speaking in front of a large group of people by June.
yeah.
They go, no, it's not possible. I'm not going to. I won't. And they all
They
do.
do. They do. They do a great job. So I want to pivot a little bit to share the story of how I met Corie. We're obviously both part of the organization. She's been doing it longer than I have, and she's very passionate. I don't think she has a day off. We were talking about that outside. She's
Nope.
finally got a little bit of a break, but her passion it's unmatched, right? She does so much, and she helps volunteers in multiple schools with the programs. And anytime you need her, she's always available, not just the Mana North County chapter, but any chapter, anything that's Mana related. And she does a lot of volunteer, not just with the Mana organization, but another. And I'll have her go into a little bit on that in a little bit. But I met her through the organization. We interact with the local regional chapters. I'm part of, I started with the Mana San Diego chapter, which is the largest chapter, but there's two in San Diego. So we do a lot of things to support each other when we have events. And as I met her in one of the events. The funny story that I remember when I met Corie, this goes back to our biases. You remember that day?
See?
We were sitting on the table, and I was happened to be sitting between her and Gabby. Gabby is the co-founder of the Mana
Yeah.
North County
My
chapter.
BFF.
Her BFF, they're always together, And so Gabby could tell you she has a superpower. Her superpower is her accent because she came here from Mexico as an adult. So she has a beautiful accent. And so when I talk to her, I'm like, I'm more comfortable. We do Spanglish. So when I talk to Gabby, I'm like, let me talk to her in Spanish. And then I had Gabby on my left-hand side. I have Corie on my right-hand side. And when I would turn around to talk to Corie, I would talk to her in English, again, bias, right? Because I just assumed she didn't speak Spanish. Because you look at Corie, that's me. And I try to change that. And then all of a sudden, I turned around and Gabby and Corie started talking, and Corie started talking. It's perfect Spanish. And I'm like, wait a minute, you speak Spanish? She's turned around. She's like, yeah, I was wondering why you're only talking to me in English. And I was like, oh, because I thought you only spoke English. And I go, I'm sorry. I need to change my bias because here I am, And then in our organization, you're going to come across because we have Latinas from different cultures. Just don't assume that because we have a different package or we look a certain way, that we don't speak Spanish or we're not bilingual or, you know what I mean? That stayed with me because it just taught me a lot. But we may find out of that. And she's like, yeah, I was wondering why you're only talking to me in English. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Corie. And she speaks fluent Spanish. I'm like, she's an educator, but she had made a point to invest in knowing the language perfectly. So she's great. So
Yes,
that was
I'm used
my
to
little...
being the only white girl in the room, and we're all speaking Spanish, but I'm the only white girl in the room because of parties, quinceañeras, anything. So then when there's workers coming to the house or something like that, I only speak to them in Spanish. And they go, ¿hablas español? Claro. And they're like, "Qué bueno." And then they just talking and talking and talking.
She's Latina by adoption. She's Latina by
Yeah.
her contributions. She's Latina by the family del corazón, marriage, the family that she owns. I mean, I think you can't dispute the fact she's Latina. She's all heart, todo corazón. So I love you so much,
My
Corie.
second husband was from Mexico City. And so we would go down to visit his family in Mexico until it became too dangerous.
Yeah.
His sister would just say, stop coming because, Lapa used to be a wonderful place and very
Mexico
great
is really
city.
beautiful. You said that, you grew up in the area of Olvera Street. Those that don't know part of LA and you want to visit LA, I will highly recommend you go to Olvera Street because that's one of my favorite places to visit. Because if you know Olvera, it's the little ranch that still stands when this used to be Mexico.
Right.
So what they did is they built LA and all the big towers around Olvera Street, and that's remained remain. So you get like, there's a church. Actually, I baptized my daughter in that church, the Lovera
Ah,
church. Yeah. And I go to the museum because it's a free museum where that used to be the ranch. So it's laid out
mhm,
to where the owners live, and it's a free museum. And you bet
mhm,
you get the best Mexican food. The little taco
mhm.
stand that you're talking about, anytime I'm in Olvera Street,
That's
that's
where we
where I
would
go, to
eat.
the corner. Yep. The best beans. Yeah. So I highly recommend check Olvera Street. It's really close to Chinatown as well. It's like walking distance.
Mhm,
But if you want to know a little bit of the LA history that is based when it was Mexico, you start with that
mhm.
location because it's literally, you'd be surprised. You go into that little ranch, right? El rancho que está ahí, and it's like that used to be a family home. And all of a sudden you
Mhm.
get out of the
Yep.
ranch, and all of a sudden it's just like the skyscrapers of LA is all around it. But it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful. I used to take my kids when they were little because I used to take them to museums. I love museums, and
Mhm,
any chance I could, I will take them to Olvera Street. I still go when I'm missing my taquitos from the corner with beans.
mhm.
Yeah, that's great. So we talked about, you got introduced with Gabby and to join Mana North County, and you've been very, very active, but what appealed to you to join Mana, the North County?
Well, I knew already Lourdes Encinias. We
Uh-huh.
were working together, and she's the one that actually invited me to join. And then I got to know Gabby, and then we just been together ever since. Because board members come and go, and we're the
Yeah.
only two that have stayed all these years. So basically, since I retired, I was working full time for Mana on a pro bono basis, and I'm working with Rotary, with
Yes.
ICTHUS, with other nonprofit organizations, and the church. I'm on the ministry team and I teach twice a week at church at Iglesia Hosanna. But the pastor wants to teach in English because the kids can't read in Spanish, basically. And now my new thing to do is to be an advocate for parents of special ed students. So especially the Spanish speakers, because they don't understand the process, they don't understand the school system. I mean, they're handed their rights, right? But nobody
Yeah.
explains what they can do and what they can ask for and all that kind of stuff. In our little church that has maybe 50 families, we have 3 autistic kids. And then we had one that started with me in 3rd grade last year, non-reader in 3rd grade. And I said, Juanita, you can have, that's your right. Your
Uh-huh.
daughter needs an evaluation. But like, she wasn't comfortable. She says, no, no, mejor no. Because she was afraid to ask, even though she
Yeah.
does have one son that's autistic
Mm-hmm.
and that he was on an IEP. She
Mm-hmm.
was afraid to ask for her daughter. And so then I got her daughter into a tutoring program this summer, and she went from a non-reader to a reader. So I had to sit next to her for the 45 minutes because we had always had technological problems. It was via Zoom. And then I had my laptop as a backup, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
stay with her at her house for another 30 minutes tutoring her on the things that they didn't miss, to filling in the
Mm-hmm.
holes and the gaps and all that kind of stuff. And now she's a reader. So that's really exciting because I focus mostly on middle school, high school. So going to elementary school students was a different challenge. But yeah, so coming alongside, we Kimberly's IP yesterday. So I
Mm-hmm.
finally she got that evaluation. And so but it is a process, going
Yeah.
through walking with the parents hand in hand. One problem I found with the parents in my high schools in Escondido, because I'm in 2 high schools, I have 2 cohorts, was the parents don't value at all. Over the years, they do not value Mexican culture, neither the art, neither the music, neither the dance. And I would set up these field trips for the girls, and the moms would say at the last minute, "No, la necesito en la casa." I want her to stay home. I need her to help me at home. I'm just going, well, because they didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would set up field trips to go to nearby places. We'd have a dance thing at the Center for the Arts in Escondido. There would be a concert. There would be a museum with Frida Kahlo.
Mm-hmm.
These museum exhibits, I couldn't believe they got them into Escondido, and the parents would say no. So I started saying, okay, I have to contact the parents. So I tried to get them to come to my house this summer. I had 3 parents that would come from one high school and none from the other high school. And so they said, no, no queremos salir de la casa.
Yeah.
I said, y ahora cuando tenemos un field trip, va a dar permiso a su hija.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Why it's important that their daughter experience these things. I said, and you can come with them.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no me gusta, no me importa.
Yeah.
Because they're just into survival mode. But yeah, I do work a lot with the Center for the Arts, and we've had some amazing exhibits. This summer we had the Latina art exhibit, only art by Latinas.
Where?
It was a traveling exhibit coming from LA.
Mhm.
It came to Escondido, and it was there for the
Mhm.
summer, and so I made sure that even though I had to go 3 times, that all
Yeah.
the girls got to see it, and then one of my friends who's an artist, her art was exhibited there. Her name is Gloria Fabiola Rocha, and, actually, her family owns the restaurant there in Calle Vera. They have for 50 years.
Nice.
Yeah, one of her family members, and so she said they were celebrating their 50th year there in Calle Vera, so she went to the restaurant. I said, "Y no me llevaste, Gloria, come on." So then she would go I would invite her to come with the girls
Uh-huh.
to the exhibit so she could explain her art and explain the art of her friends and, all that kinda stuff, but that was an amazing exhibit that I don't want the girls to miss out on. That's
Yeah.
Field trips are really important.
Yes.
But sometimes you just, like, have to twist the arms of the parents because they don't see the importance.
Not only that, I think we talked about on the side, there's a lot of fear going on, right? And I
Yeah.
and I know knowing you and the amount of work that you do, and it's not a paid work, it's all volunteered out of the heart. You were navigating when we were trying to maintain these programs during COVID,
Yeah.
communicating, working directly with the families to make sure the girls didn't lose the opportunities to stay in the program to benefit, during the pandemic. And now with the situation we're dealing with ICE, where a lot of our families are afraid to get out of the house, right?
Yep.
Which impacts
Yep.
our girls because there's
Yep.
no way to get that information. But here's where Curry really shines because the amount of work that she does and her passion for the program and the girls, she goes to their home. She's door knocking and she's making sure that she's building those relationships with the families. And instead of them coming out, she goes to them. And her and I were talking the other day where she's like, this is the first time I have a vacation because you mentioned you're involved, you're at least involved in multiple schools with the program, right?
Yeah, I hadn't had a
So
spring break for 11, 12, no, 15 years. I hadn't had a spring break because each school district takes a different spring break,
yeah,
and I was always working in at least 2 school districts. So this was the first year I had a spring break.
we are so blessed and grateful to have Corey and her passion for the girls because when you realize she's making a difference, and that's one of the things that we love about the program. And the Corys of our program and our organization is what's changing a lot of the people's lives in our community, right? Because she really is passionate. And so on a personal note, thank you, Corey, because you inspire me when you share what you're doing and like there's no complaint. I mean, you haven't got a break in years, and yet
Yeah.
you're not only active in the organization, but you're part of Rotary, you're part of the church, you're part of all these events. And anytime that any of us ask you to be there, I know you've been there for me when I've invited you in past events to support you there. So I am grateful for that. So you're an incredible lady. So thank you for that. I know you will work in a lot of community events. What's coming up for you? What's next for you right now?
Well, we're deep in planning for the Mariachi Festival. So that's
Yes.
something that we put on every year, and is in any nonprofit group, you have a few people doing all the work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
It's a
a
lot
lot
of
of work to
work.
put this on and then to get the sponsors because it's very expensive to rent out the concert hall and the conference center at the Center for the Arts. And we pay the musicians their regular fee. They don't, this is not a benefit concert.
Yeah.
But we put it on for the community and we keep the tickets to $25
Tell them
for,
what it is, when it is, and
yeah.
where
So
can
it's
they
March
send.
the
Yeah.
8th, Sunday afternoon at the
Mm-hmm.
Escondido Center for the Arts. It's the only performing arts center in North County. And so we do get people coming all the way from Corona, the faithful from Corona, who are Ed's relatives and friends. We have people from Oceanside. We have people from San Diego, like Delia. Delia doesn't ever miss. Patti Campos doesn't ever miss. People from Mano San Diego come.
Yes.
And so we
I'll
have
be
a
there.
VIP lunch at the beginning, and we have the tacos lunch, and then we have the tequila tasting, the tequila auction, the art auction. We used to have the basket silent auction, but that was so much work for me that people go, we don't make that much money on the
Yeah.
baskets. They're pretty and everybody has fun with them, but it's too much work. I said, yes, it's too much work.
Yes. So it's a
So now we do art
mariachi's
auction.
event. It's a
But it's
mariachi's
and then we
event.
go to the mariachi concert. So in the VIP, we'll have the high schoolers. We support high school mariachi bands. So getting them started with instruments and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll have that performing in the Vista High School and the RBV High School. mariachi bands, they have a joint performing band. So
Mhm.
their teacher's Clarissa. So they'll perform first in the small VIP for 400 people. And then we'll have the regular 2 mariachi groups in the concert hall. So it's a professional concert hall and stuff like that. So we do have the VIP tickets, and then we have the easy, $25
Mhm.
tickets for anybody in the community. So we go to the schools to talk about it. We go to different places. Last year, I went to Northgate. I went to the swap meet, where
Yeah.
everybody hangs out on Saturdays. Yeah. And I said, okay, pues le gusta mariachi. Sí. Pues sabe que vamos a tener un festival de mariachi aquí mismo en Escondido. No, they didn't believe me
Yeah.
because they have to go to San Diego and pay
Yes.
65 to
Or
$150
LA. Or
or
LA.
LA to see
Yeah.
mariachi, in
Yeah.
concert. I said, "No, aquí mismo en Escondido."
Yes.
"¿De veras?" Sí, sí. So then I give them a flyer. I say, "¿Quiere comprar un boleto? Solamente $25." And they don't believe me that it's only $25. I go, "Sí, es un grupo profesional." Sí, es un grupo profesional, pero
Yeah.
eso es un servicio que hacemos. This is like a
Yeah.
community service that our club does. Hispanic Rotary Club.
Yes.
That's why we like and we love mariachi music.
I love that. I love it. Well, I'm definitely going to be there. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to put in this episode, when we post as well, the information to
Mhm,
where they can get the tickets before they sell out,
mhm.
because we're doing a lot of promotions. So I'm sure we will. So
Yeah,
I'm
the
looking
website
forward to
is
that.
just it's easy to remember. It's artcenter.org is the
There you go.
website. Yeah,
Perfect. And it's March 8th, Sunday,
March
March
8th,
8th, from
Sunday
12 to
Sunday
6.
afternoon, 12 to
Yes.
6, yeah.
Perfect. So no question that you have motivation to do what you do for the education, the arts, the culture, and you educated yourself from a very young age. You took this, it's like, I want to be part of
Mhm.
this. And so you've been doing this. What else motivates you?
Well, being from an all English speaking neighborhood, as I mentioned, and having this deep desire to speak Spanish, the only way I can explain it is it had to be God that put it in my heart
Yeah.
because there weren't people around me. You know? I mean, and it was such a deep desire, and so I just followed that desire, followed that passion, and continued learning, so it had to be God, but I didn't have a relationship with God, I didn't know anything about the Bible or anything
Mm-hmm.
until I was in college, and I met
Wow.
Christians, and I go, "Wow, who are these people?" They're really different, I never met Christians before.
Yeah.
At our high school, there was a Christian club, but it was for the rich kids who like to go skiing, and so to me, that wasn't a Christian club, that was a
Yeah.
social club.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then that's in the middle of college is when I started asking questions of these people. And so I started thinking about it. And then God was just starting to prepare my heart. And
Yeah.
that was the Jesus movement was just started. Like it started
Yeah.
maybe a year before that. And so this group came out to play at a university. And it was the very first of all the contemporary Christian bands. And they came to play and they gave like an introduction to the gospel at the end. It's the first time I had heard the gospel, and so I received Christ at that time. And then I just kept growing. I mean, I was so hungry for the Bible because now when I would open the Bible, it made sense. I could
Mm-hmm.
understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Before, if you're not a Christian, you open the Bible, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
understand it at all. And so, yeah, so that's when I knew, looking back, that it had to be God that got me onto this journey, onto this path. And so now what I like to do is because this is my 50th year of teaching,
Mm.
and so I think this
Congratulations.
would be a good time in June to stop to finish up my public school teaching and
Mm-hmm.
start focusing more on ministry because I have joined a Christian group called Ithus, and also I'm now mentoring a girl in Hermanitas,
Mm-hmm.
who's at a private Christian college, a private
Mm-hmm.
Christian school. So we do on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom and I do in her house. I haven't told anybody else on the board, but like I've known this girl since she was 8. Her father died of a sudden heart attack when she was 8. So I've been keeping in touch with her and her mom. Her mom owns her own tire business. So I was, really admire her mom. So when she came to 7th grade, her mom says, "Isn't she ready for Hermanitas?" I said, "Yeah, but I can't go teach Hermanitas in a Christian school that, they wouldn't be really approve of probably of that."
Yeah.
And so I said, "We do one-on-one." So I do one-on-one with her and then I adapt the lessons,
Beautiful.
the ministry in the church and then with Ichthus. So that's because I'm thinking, my whole life since age 5 has been run by a bell schedule and multiple bell schedules now, as in retirement. I have to
Yeah.
figure out, even I'm at 2 high schools in Escondido, they don't have the same bell schedule.
Mm.
And my life has to revolve and fit into that bell schedule,
Yeah.
Like, it would be really nice not to have a bell schedule. dictating my
Oh,
life.
but you probably miss it, I think. I think you're so used to it, you probably will miss it. You might take advantage of the break that you're getting right now, but knowing you,
Yeah.
you're always busy. Maybe
Yeah. Well, and
that's
I continue to follow my girls in college because we didn't have access to the TS program until last year. So
yes.
I have one girl from a very poor family in Escondido who's at Stanford. She's in her
Nice.
second year. And so I always meet with her when she's home on break. The sad thing is that her parents can't go visit her because
Yeah.
they're
The
afraid to even
situation.
just go into Riverside County because of the migra.
Yeah.
So, and they can't board a bus, they can't board a plane, nothing.
Let me ask you this. So we have the audience here, and you touch on the things that we're doing to gather funds for our girls and our programs.
Mhm. Yeah.
If they want to help, how can our listeners or anybody that sees this episode can
Mhm.
contribute to the organization for girls? What can they do to help?
We always need money for scholarships. Really, really, we never have enough money for scholarships, but we make sure that I connect the girls with scholarships, and I say, "Okay, apply for this one, apply for this one." And, so they have to when they apply for our Mana scholarship, they have to show that they did apply for other scholarships. But I said, "You girls are gonna need more money than you
Mm-hmm.
realize.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you to drop out of college for lack of money."
Mm-hmm.
You know? So fortunately, this one, she got a full ride to Stanford, so she
Nice. What
doesn't
are you
have to
studying?
suffer. She's pre-law.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
she really
if they
wants
want
to.
to visit, what website do they go to help out?
Well, just Google Mana de North County. That's easier just to Google Mana de North
ORG.
County.
ORG.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
And then I
Awesome.
have another one also from a poor family in Escondido, and her dream was to go to Harvard. And I didn't get her until ninth grade because she was in another city. She moved in ninth grade, and I saw right away, oh, wait, this girl, she has ganas.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
oozing with ganas, and she's smart. And so she told me, she says, I want to go to Ivy League. I go, okay. So I connected her with Kids on Mama. We did all these extra things on the side for her, and she took it and she ran with it. And she formed, this how there's a city council in Escondido. She formed
Mm-hmm.
a youth council. And so she did all because she takes the initiative. It's really, really
Yeah.
hard to teach how to take the initiative, and that's one thing that our girls don't do. And so
Mm-hmm.
we teach assertive speaking, advocating for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, all those kind of skills. But taking the initiative is something we can talk about, but we can't put it in them,
Yeah.
But we can build their confidence so that they can fight their fears because their fears are one that they kind of help stop them from taking that initiative. Headed to Harvard on a full ride. And
That's
so she's
awesome.
now in her second year Harvard. After her first year Harvard, she got to go to Czechoslovakia. Like, I go, what? She goes, yeah,
Wow.
our school has these international study programs in the summer. And I go, so what do you do in Czechoslovakia? She goes, I studied Czech. I go, okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And so, yeah, she's in her second year. And so I have the girls make videos. I said,
Nice.
you're the first one to go to Stanford. You're the first one to go to Harvard. And because the girls usually never leave California and sometimes they don't even leave their San Diego County, because their
Yeah.
parents won't allow them to. I said, we want you to make a video. Show them what your dorm room looks like. What do you get homesick?
Yeah.
Talk about all those things with the girls so they can hear and see what it's like. They can't really experience it, but they can hear what it's
Yeah.
like to be away from home and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I always meet up with them. So it's exciting to see the girls. And then I have several that have already graduated from college. So that's really fun. And I said, I was disappointed. Like they're in their senior year of college. I go, I've seen your LinkedIn. It's lacking, girl. You got to connect. You got to do
Yes.
this. You got to do that. Follow these people, follow those people,
We have a
because you're not
large
going to get a
community.
job.
Yeah.
You've been focused too much on school. You need to focus on building those networks.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So one question I always ask our guests is you obviously have a lot to offer, but what is one word of Corey's wisdom that you can share with us?
Well, I love the title of your podcast, Inner Niña, because it worked, at least in my life, to listen to that voice that you have inside when you're a child, because that could
Yeah.
be your life
Yeah.
work, which
Yes.
it was for me.
Yes.
My whole life was dedicated to working with immigrants. And if I had become a Spanish teacher, I would have missed my calling,
Mm-hmm.
I would have missed it. But yeah, listen to it and pursue it, and don't let people like to make fun of you or to denigrate you or to make fun of your idea. Keep going.
Yes.
Don't give up, persevere, and go on. And find people who will encourage you. I didn't have people that encouraged me going through. So that's why I really want to have these girls to have a mentor so that they were always at their side along encouraging, keep going, keep going. So that's what they need. Encouragement.
Yes, absolutely. And you're doing a great job with that. And another chance, so if you had to go back in time and talk to your little Corie, your inner niña, what would you tell her?
It's okay to be different. Just don't listen to people that are just saying making fun of you.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
one of
they
the
would make
things.
fun of me for my hair because I had such curly hair, and when I hit puberty, it became frizzy and the hair was long, so it was
Mhm.
like this like an afro,
Yeah,
and people would make fun of me, so when I got to high school, my mom says, "Okay, well, we don't want kids to make fun of you, so we're gonna straighten your hair," because at that time,
yeah,
everyone had to have straight hair. They were ironing their hair. I don't know if
yeah,
you didn't live through that, but yeah, because there weren't enough products on the market,
yeah.
girls would iron their hair just to get it straight. Well, there was no way I could get my hair straight, so my mom went to the store, and she would buy the straightener for African
Relaxer.
American.
Yeah, the relaxer.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was dangerous. It had lye in it. It was really
You leave
dangerous.
it for too long, you can lose your hair. Yeah,
Yeah, so she said, "Okay, just put Vaseline on your skin." But still I got burned. My skin still got
yeah.
burned even though I put the Vaseline first, but, she would try that to help, so I could have and then I would have these huge rollers. The only white
You
friends I have are bilingual teachers because I don't nobody understands me.
well, you weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to
Yeah,
stand out. God had a plan for you, and the plan is what you're doing right now.
yeah,
So,
so now I have my curly hair and it doesn't matter.
you're beautiful. You're
But I
beautiful.
just have to get used to these canas. I'm not used to my canas still. I've had dark brown hair my whole life, and now I just go, "Who's that loon? Who is that lady?"
You're a mover and a shaker, Corey, and I am beyond grateful individually and from us and your organization and anybody that comes across the work that you do. It's very meaningful. And I have to say a little bit of that piece because one of the events that we went, and thank you for you inviting me, you invited me to your husband's funeral. She lost
Mhm,
her husband a few years ago, a couple years ago. The testament is the people that showed up and they spoke at the service. It's a testament of the community that you built, with you and your husband, that show their love. Because there was a lot of people, and I was just they're teary eyed because the stories that they were sharing, and I was like, that it's telling, of the people's life that you are touching. And so, I have to thank you. We can only aspire to be a Corey, in our life. So you're setting that example for us. So I want to say thank you as a community servant, as a hermana, and everything that you do. I'm impressed and awed by
mhm.
the work that you do. So thank you so much. And
Well,
I
it's a
really
pleasure to
appreciate that.
Maria. You always inspire me,
Aw.
and you have so much passion and energy, and because I need people around me like you to keep me to going too.
Well, I have ideas and I share those with you.
Mhm.
Part of it is a challenge, and I'm actually surprised. I'm not really surprised because in my episodes, I'm in a healing journey, and this opportunity
Yes.
presented itself because hermanas kept telling me, "You need to do this. You need to do this,"
Mhm.
because I get re-energized by the women like you in our
Mhm.
organization and people that I come across.
Uh,
And the
yeah.
fact that you share something at the beginning of your story that, God put this in you and it will not go away, right?
Mhm.
This is part of what's come to me because I'm like, why do people keep telling me to do this? And I give credit. I was talking to Gabby yesterday and I'm like, you're one of them. And Martha, and I'm like, okay, let me follow.
Mhm.
And then God keeps putting them. And every time I talk to somebody, God comes out in the conversation.
Uh-huh.
So I don't believe in coincidence. I do believe there's a journey that we all have to go through. And God is putting us together because we're helping others. And if this
Yes.
message resonates and it's not set up to anybody in a specific age group, right? Because we all
Mhm.
go through
Right.
different things in our life that can be relatable. And then, and what I'm trying to create with this platform is sharing the stories of the incredible Latinas that I have an honor to know and eventually introduce new ones that I'm going to get to
Mhm.
meet, but
Mhm.
create this platform to share the stories that I only touched the surface because I only knew a little bit of the things that you're doing. And I'm like, wait a minute, how can I build my resume? Like
Uh,
Corey, how can I build my legacy? Because the work that you do and you inspire me. And so creating that platform is creating those stories where people can say, you know what, I can relate to Corie. I can relate to
Yeah.
the speakers that we have here, and also create a community that let them know that they're not alone. We
Right.
are
Right.
an hermandad. We are here to
Mm-hmm.
help each other and elevate each
Mm-hmm.
other. And the hope is to continue growing in
Mm-hmm.
whatever capacity that is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
thank you for inspiring me.
And I love your podcast. They're so inspiring. I just go, wow. I just want to
These
listen
are
to
the women.
everyone now. Now that I
These
start
are the
listening, I
women.
just go,
Yes.
whoa.
Well, you know what? Share and follow. That's it's
Okay.
building a community,
Will
because
do.
the podcasts always have helped me when I go for a walk
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going through whatever I'm going through. Things speak
Mm-hmm.
to me. When they started presenting to me and the hermanas were telling me, you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to do this. So I taught myself, I'm learning new skills. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's coming along. And now I'm like, I know this perfect Latina that I know has this perfect story. Let's get them in. And it's growing because it's helping others, right? And
Yes.
I had incredible Latinas, and I'm hearing them, and I'm a fan. I mean, I was a fan before I got to have this conversation on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm having this conversation, I'm discovering new things about them. I'm on a bigger fan because I'm like, wow, I didn't know this about them. And so it just really fills my heart, to know that these incredible women are there, and we can inspire the next generation and then share. So one of the things I've talked in other episodes is you talked about the Hermanitas in Harvard, Ida Garcia Cole, who actually started the collegiate chapter at East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania. She mentioned that we also have someone in Harvard that we would like to have a collegiate chapter in Harvard. Why
Yeah.
not?
And now you know I have a student there.
Why not? We need mentoring at all age, right? At any
Yes.
age, we need help. We need a support system in place. And why not? It started with our junior high girls, but
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the path in life, we still need help. We need a sounding board. I can say, hey, I need help. I don't know how to do this. And we can lean on each other. And I give an example to one of the hermanas that I kind of compare an ant, and I kind of share that with you, right? The ant and the crab, the crab put up crabs in a bucket, they pull each other down. And I want to create the ant community where we're here, all of us, we're bigger, we're stronger as the group grows, right? It's strengthening numbers. We help each other. And that's what this community is about. So please help me, create that community. You're already creating it. But I want people to know what the chapter is, if they have an opportunity to support our local chapter and help our local girls and their families. They know where to go and where to find you. You can find Corie. She has her LinkedIn profile. She also has her social media pages. Let them know where they can reach you, Corie, in case they want to get more information directly from you.
Yeah, LinkedIn probably is the easiest way to find me. Also Facebook. I'm not a really big Instagram user because I'm a different generation.
Yeah.
But I have my college students, doing Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm more Facebook and LinkedIn.
Corie De Anda on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for your time, Corie. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. And to our listeners, thank you for listening and holding space for me. I am Maria Benitez, and this is our journey together. Until next time. Thank you, Corie. Te quiero mucho. Te aprecio. Gracias. Bye. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space for me. And thank you for allowing me to walk beside you as you heal your inner niña. Until next time, please don't forget to follow and subscribe.